When his girlfriend brought him to her house for the first time, he saw her mother and couldn't control himself. He wanted to test her because she was even more beautiful than her own daughter. After 3 days, he seduced his own girlfriend's mother, and they continuously enjoyed themselves in the toilet, the library, the elevator, and in bed all night long. The story was begun in 2010 in Miami. It was one of those tiny towns outside into Miami, the kind nobody remembers the name of, where the streetlights flicker like they're afraid to stay on, and where everyone knows everyone except the ones they pretend not to know. That night, the air was humid and thick, bitter and heavy, like rain that didn't want to fall. Ruth was in her kitchen rinsing a mug when she saw movement near the edge of her yard. At first, she thought it was a stray dog, but when the figure stumbled into the weak yellow light, Ruth froze. A young woman, barely more than a girl, collapsed onto the dirt. Her clothes were torn and soaked with blood, her hair matted to her face, beautiful in the way a painting is beautiful, and horrifying in the way a broken doll is horrifying. She looked about 21 at most, skin pale, lips cracked, eyes wide with the kind of panic you only see in people who've been chased for miles. There was a deep wound on her shoulder, like a stone had been thrown hard enough to split flesh, and her stomach, swollen, not just swollen, but heavy and rounded in a way that felt wrong, like time inside her had been speeding. "Water," she rasped, her voice barely there. "Please, water. I'm hungry." Ruth rushed outside. Hey, stay awake. Can you hear me?" Behind her, Ruth's husband Caleb came to the door already dialing his phone, but out here the signal was never reliable. Ruth didn't hesitate. She lifted the girl's arm over her shoulder, and with Caleb's help, they dragged her inside. The girl's name was Jasmin. She didn't say much at first. She shook violently while Ruth wrapped her in blankets, gulped water like someone who'd been drinking dust for days, and her eyes kept sliding to the windows as if expecting something or someone to burst through them. When Ruth asked, "Who did this to you?" Jasmin's mouth tried to form words, but only a broken whisper came out. They said I was cursed." Ruth didn't understand. Caleb didn't either. But the fear on Jasmin's face wasn't the fear of a normal crime. It was deeper, not just, "Someone hurt me," but "Something is coming." Later that night, Jasmin's pain spiked. She clutched her belly and gasped, and Ruth, terrified but steady, realized what was happening. "Caleb, she's in labor." Caleb stared. "Now? She's not. She can't be." But the truth didn't care about logic. The truth kicked its way to the surface. And as Jasmin screamed, Ruth noticed something that made her blood run cold. Jasmin didn't look surprised. She looked like she'd been waiting for this. Somewhere in the house, the lights flickered once, twice, like something was testing the wiring or testing the walls or testing the thin line between the living and whatever waits behind the living. Jasmin's breathing turned ragged. "It's not mine," she whispered. "It's inside me, but it's not mine." Ruth leaned in. "Jasmin, listen to me. You're safe here." Jasmin's eyes locked onto Ruth's, and for a second, Ruth felt a pressure behind her own eyes, like a hand pushing against her skull. Jasmin didn't blink. She didn't cry. She didn't plead. She just whispered again, slower this time. "It promised me revenge." And that was the moment Ruth realized this wasn't a normal girl running from a normal attack. This was the end of a long nightmare, or the beginning of something worse. The clock read 2:17 a.m. Jasmin's body trembled in waves, sweat mixing with dried blood, her fingers digging into the blanket like she could claw her way out of her own skin. Ruth tried to keep her calm, speaking softly. "Breathe, that's it, good. You're okay." But Jasmin's eyes didn't look okay. They looked distant, like she was somewhere else, like she was remembering a room she never wanted to remember. Caleb stood near the doorway, useless and horrified, phone in hand. Every time he tried to call, the screen flashed the same message: no service. Out here you could scream for help and the world would keep sleeping. When the baby finally came, there was no crying, and that should have been the first impossible thing. Ruth stared down in shock. The child's eyes were open, wide, focused, not the hazy newborn stare of an infant, but aware, intelligent. The baby looked directly at Jasmin, and Jasmin smiled, a slow, exhausted smile that carried something sharp underneath it. "See?" Jasmin whispered. "It's here." Then the baby's gaze shifted to Ruth, and Ruth's chest tightened. Her hands went numb. Her heart stuttered like it forgot the rhythm. She tried to speak, but her mouth wouldn't work. And then, without any sound, without any struggle, Jasmin's body went still. Caleb shouted, "Jasmin!" and rushed forward, but Ruth couldn't move. She was locked in place, eyes fixed on the child, and then Ruth collapsed. Caleb grabbed her shoulders. "Ruth! Ruth!" He looked down at the baby, shaking. "What the hell are you?" he whispered. The child didn't answer with words. It answered with change. Its limbs stretched, its bones shifted under skin like something reshaping clay. The tiny body expanded faster than growth, faster than biology, faster than any nightmare could justify. Caleb stumbled backward, hitting the wall, his mind screaming it couldn't be happening, while his eyes refused to lie. Within moments, the newborn became a young man, tall, athletic, and impossibly handsome, his face beautiful in a way that felt designed, not born, like someone had sculpted him to be trusted, to be desired, to be invited in. He looked down at his hands, flexed his fingers, then looked at Caleb with a calm expression that didn't match the scene of two dead women at his feet. "Don't scream," the young man said. Caleb's throat tightened. You're a demon." The young man tilted his head. "Labels are for humans. I'm purpose." He stepped over Ruth's body as if she were furniture, then glanced at Jasmin one last time. There was no grief, no pity, only a quiet satisfaction. "Your debt is paid," he murmured, almost tenderly. "Your revenge begins." Then he walked to the window. The glass didn't shatter, the lock didn't click, it simply gave way like reality itself made room for him. And he disappeared into the night. Caleb fell to his knees, shaking so hard his teeth hurt, tried his phone again, praying for a signal, and this time it rang. Once, then died. He looked at Ruth's still body and whispered the only thing he could think to whisper, "God help us." But the house didn't feel like God was listening. It felt like something else had just arrived in the world, and it was already making a list. Intermiami had places that felt bright enough to erase bad thoughts. Gardens, parks, clean sidewalks lined with flowers that made tourists stop and take pictures. And that's where he went, because monsters don't hide in the dark anymore, they hide in beauty. He used a name that wasn't his. Noah. Names were costumes. He could change them whenever he wanted. And then he saw her, Mirgan, about 18, sitting near a flower bed, laughing softly at something small. Birds hopping around her shoes, a little kid chasing a butterfly, the sun catching the edge of her hair. She looked pure, not in a cheesy way, but in a dangerous way, like she was the kind of person who could make you forget you were bad. Noah watched her for a long moment and felt something he hadn't expected, curiosity mixed with hunger. Attempt number 1 was simple. He walked up with that perfect smile, holding a flower like a harmless stranger in a romantic movie. "Do you always make the garden jealous?" he asked. Mirgan blinked. "What?" He offered the flower. "Because you're stealing its beauty." She didn't take it. She laughed, not impressed, not flattered. "That line is painfully rehearsed. Noah's smile didn't break. Maybe I practiced for the right person. Mirgan stood up and brushed dirt off her hands. Try practicing on someone else. She walked away. Noah watched her go, and instead of anger, he felt interest sharpen. Humans who resisted were rare, and humans who resisted twice were useful. Attempt number 2 was at a library. He accidentally reached for the same book she did, their fingers almost touching, and Mirgan pulled back. Noah held the book up. True crime? You like stories where people pretend they're innocent? Mirgan studied him. I like stories where the monster gets caught. Noah leaned closer. And what if the monster is smarter than the law? Her eyes narrowed. Then it slips eventually. Everyone slips. Noah smiled. You think so? I know so, she said, and walked away again. 2 refusals, most men would stop. But Noah didn't stop because he wasn't chasing love, he was collecting access. Attempt number 3 was the one that worked, and it worked because it didn't feel like manipulation. It felt like fate. One evening, Mirgan was walking alone and 2 guys started trailing her. She noticed, sped up, they sped up. One called out something nasty. Mirgan's throat tightened and she reached for her phone. Then Noah appeared from nowhere. Walk away, he told the guys, voice calm. The guys laughed. Who's this? Her boyfriend? Noah didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He just looked at them, and the air changed. The 2 guys stopped smiling, their faces shifting into sudden panic, like they'd seen something behind Noah's eyes that didn't belong in a human body. They backed away, tripping over their own feet, then turned and ran like their lives depended on it. Mirgan stared. What did you do? Noah took off his jacket and placed it around her shoulders, gentle, protective, perfectly timed. I did what someone should have done. Mirgan's voice shook. Thank you. Noah's smile softened. Let me walk you home. And that's how the hook went in, not through charm, through safety. Later, when he showed her small miracles, streetlights flickering into patterns, reflections in water moving like living things, Mirgan felt the world shift like being drugged without swallowing anything, and she started to believe that being near Noah changed reality. Noah let her believe it because belief is the easiest door to unlock. Mirgan eventually brought Noah home. Her mother, Ali, answered the door, beautiful with quiet elegance, tired eyes, and a calm voice that sounded like it had learned to survive disappointment. And the house carried the absence of a husband, the way an empty chair carries absence, silently, but always. Noah introduced himself politely, and Mirgan watched her mother's face closely, expecting suspicion, but instead, Ali paused half a second, too long. It wasn't recognition, it was attraction. Noah noticed, of course. He noticed everything. The way Ali adjusted her hair, the way her gaze flicked away and returned, the way loneliness sat in her like an open wound. That night, he didn't cast a spell with candles and smoke. He did it with words, timing, presence. In the mornings, he made coffee and offered Ali a cup first. Small kindness, big effect. Listened to her talk about stress, bills, life without interrupting, looked at her like she mattered. And when Mirgan wasn't around, Noah let the air between them turn heavier, slower, charged. Then the dreams started. Ali would wake up breathing hard, Noah's face in her mind like a brand. She tried to push it away. No, that's my daughter's boyfriend. But the more she resisted, the stronger it pulled like gravity. And she didn't know it wasn't just emotion, it was influence, a quiet, deliberate, supernatural pressure. One morning, she sat with Noah in the garden, coffee in hand, trying to act normal, and Noah asked softly, "Do you ever feel like your life stopped, and you kept living anyway?" Ali swallowed. "Sometimes." Noah leaned in slightly. That kind of emptiness makes people do desperate things. Alay's voice tightened. What are you saying? I'm saying, you're not as strong as you pretend, Noah said, and his tone wasn't cruel. It was intimate, like a confession. That night, Alay found herself outside Noah's door. She stopped, heart racing. What am I doing? And then she heard his voice, barely a whisper like it was inside her head. Come in. And she did. I won't describe explicit details, but the secret began there and it lasted 15 days. Hidden moments, stolen time, guilt wrapped in a fog of compulsion. Alay hated herself during the day, and at night she felt numb, pulled, trapped. Mirgan sensed something off but couldn't name it until the day she walked in. The door wasn't fully closed. The air inside felt wrong, too hot, too quiet, and Mirgan stepped forward and froze, her world cracking. "Mum," she whispered. Alay went pale, and Noah turned his head slowly, calm as ever, like he'd been expecting the scene. Mirgan backed away shaking, tears filling her eyes, and she ran. Later, Noah followed her, voice soft, hands open. "Mirgan, listen! Don't touch me!" she snapped. "You're disgusting, both of you!" Noah's eyes darkened, not with anger, but with calculation. He whispered something short and sharp under his breath, like a command, and Mirgan blinked. Her breathing slowed, her face shifted from rage to confusion. What was I upset about?" she asked, voice small. Alay stared at her daughter, horrified. She wanted to scream and confess, but the spell had already swallowed the moment. Noah smiled faintly, and that was when Mirgan did something Noah didn't expect, something that became the beginning of his downfall. She went to church, not because she was religious, but because she was desperate. Father Gabriel, an exorcist priest with tired eyes and a voice like steel, listened to her story. He didn't laugh, he didn't judge. He said, "That's not normal manipulation, that's spiritual control." He taught her a prayer, gave her a blessed knife, small, sharp, heavy with meaning, and told her one sentence that stuck like a nail. "When he reaches for your weakness, strike his doorway." "And what's his doorway?" Mirgan asked, shaking. Father Gabriel answered, his eyes. The last night started quietly, too quietly, the kind of quiet you only get before a car crash. Mirgan acted normal. She laughed at Noah's jokes, sat at dinner with her mother, even let Noah touch her hand without flinching, while Alay watched her daughter with guilt burning behind her eyes. Noah watched both of them like a man watching chess pieces. He wasn't just enjoying control, he was preparing something bigger, carrying Jasmin's revenge inside him like an engine. Kill the ones who hurt her, erase the town that laughed, punish the ones who called her cursed. But revenge wasn't enough anymore. He wanted to open a door, a wider door, a door that would let more of him into the world. When night deepened, Noah walked Mirgan to her room, voice gentle. "You've been distant," Mirgan forced a smile. "I'm just tired." Noah stepped closer. "You trust me, right?" Mirgan's fingers tightened around the rosary hidden in her sleeve. "Yes," she lied. Noah's hand moved slowly toward her midsection like he was searching for permission or searching for control, and Mirgan's skin crawled as Father Gabriel's words echoed in her head. "When he reaches for your weakness, strike his doorway." Noah leaned in, whispering, "You don't even understand what I am." Mirgan whispered back, "Then tell me." Noah smiled, and the smile was wrong. "I'm the answer to a girl's suffering. I'm the revenge she begged for. I was born in blood, raised in a river, built from hate." His eyes gleamed. "And you were supposed to be my mask." Mirgan's breath caught. "Jasmin!" Noah's expression sharpened. "She got what she wanted, she got me." The air in the room turned cold. The lights flickered. Alay stood in the hallway, drawn by fear and guilt and something she couldn't name. She stepped closer, and that's when Father Gabriel emerged from the closet because, yes, he was already there, hidden, waiting, praying silently with sweat on his forehead. Noah turned his head slowly. "A priest?" he said, amused. "Cute?" Father Gabriel raised the knife and began to pray. Short, forceful, not dramatic, but heavy enough to bend the room. The temperature dropped, the shadows in the corners shivered, and Noah's smile slipped. For the first time, he looked annoyed. Mirgan felt the spell weaken like a chain loosening. Noah lunged, not in a human way, but in a sudden blur. Mirgan moved on instinct, grabbed the blessed knife from Father Gabriel's hand, and drove it upward toward Noah's face. I won't describe gore, but I will describe impact. The moment metal met Noah's eye, the room screamed. Walls shaking, mirrors cracking, a sound like 100 voices exhaling at once. Noah staggered back, not bleeding like a man, but leaking something dark. Smoke, shadow, ash. Alai screamed, Mirgan cried out, terrified and determined, and Father Gabriel kept praying, voice rising like a siren. Outside, police sirens finally arrived. Sheriff Elena Cruz and her team burst through the front door with weapons raised. "Freeze!" Elena shouted, but the thing in the room wasn't a normal suspect. It wasn't even fully physical anymore. Noah looked at Elena, and even with one eye ruined, his gaze felt like it could still kill. "You wanted evidence?" Noah rasped. "Here's your truth." Then he collapsed, not like a man falling, but like a shape losing its meaning. His body crumbled into ash. The ash swirled and twisted, then shot toward the broken mirror on the wall, and the mirror absorbed it. Silence hit the room like a slap. Elena stared at the ash, the shattered glass, the terrified girl holding a knife. "What? Did you just kill?" she whispered. Father Gabriel lowered his head, exhausted. "A doorway," he said, "not the whole house." Days later, the official report was a mess. No normal explanation fit, and Elena tried to write it as a homicide, a mental break, a staged scene, but none of it sat right as she kept thinking about the pattern of murders, the changing names, the same face, the same eyes. Mirgan tried to recover. Alai tried to live with her shame. Father Gabriel warned them to stay close to faith, to stay away from mirrors at night, to keep the rosary on, always. Then came the last twist. One morning, Mirgan woke up nauseous, blamed stress until she noticed a faint, bruise-like mark near her navel, dark, almost like a small, orphae slash in the shape of a crescent. That night, she dreamed of a river that whispered, 5 months. She woke up gasping and ran to the mirror. The mirror was cracked. It had been cracked since that night. And inside one of the cracks, barely visible, something black moved like a pupil opening. Mirgan stepped back, whispering, "Is it over? Or is it starting again?" And somewhere far away, in a forgotten town outside into Miami, a stone by the riverbank rolled by itself, as if something underneath it had just breathed.